Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
Our sources explain it all. For more information on upcoming shows or to suggest shows, email brianhayward2026@gmail.com. And now let's get into our show. Hayward Podworks is vision, deep dives into any topic.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are on a really critical mission. We're aiming to give you a complete blueprint for escaping chronic stress. We've gone through the source material, the stress-free stress management plan, and our goal is to get beyond just coping. We want to analyze how you can identify and really eliminate the root causes. You gave us these sources because you're looking for a structural solution, not just a quick fix.
Yeah, and that search is just so important. We have to establish the stakes right away. Stress isn't just a mental quirk. It's not a sign you're busy. It is a physical, biological response that when you keep it going for weeks or years, it actually starts to destroy your body.
Absolutely. The research is so clear on this. It's a primal survival mechanism.
Exactly. I mean, when you perceive a threat, and it could be a tiger or just a looming deadline, your sympathetic nervous system kicks in. It's like a biological air raid siren that just won't turn off. It dumps massive amounts of adrenaline and cortisol into your system, to give you that instant speed and strength. The problem is chronic stress keeps that siren blaring, and it diverts blood and energy away from systems that are vital, like your immune system, your digestive processes.
Which totally explains the overwhelming statistics. This isn't just about feeling tired, is it? We're talking about a massive public health crisis. Something like 66% of all doctor visits are for stress-related symptoms.
66%. And the financial cost is it's staggering. Stress-related problems cost the U.S. economy $300 billion a year. That's $100 billion more than obesity. And when you look at the really high-stakes consequences, the source notes that work-related stress alone is linked to 10% of all strokes, mostly through chronic high blood pressure.
It's just astonishing that this constant, low-grade emergency state has become the hallmark of being a modern professional. The source material lays out all the culprits. Job pressure, money, relationships, media overload, and a huge one, sleep deprivation. If you feel like you're just constantly running on fumes, believe me, you are not alone.
And, we should acknowledge that the first challenge here isn't even the stress itself. It's our perception of it.
Okay, let's unpack that. That's a fascinating idea. The core argument is that many of us aren't just enduring stress. We're actually addicted to it. Is it really possible to be addicted to something you hate?
It sounds completely absurd, but the biology, it backs it up. When you feel stressed, you feel focused. And when you complete that stressful task, your brain releases a flood of dopamine, the reward hormone. That feeling of, beating the clock or conquering some monster task. It's highly reinforcing. We start to see pressure as productivity, and we chase that feeling again and again.
So the system, the modern workplace, it actually rewards this cycle. You take on extra work, you hit the deadline, you get the dopamine hit, and then everyone praises you for being a high performer.
Precisely. You see the average American working an extra 6 hours a week, often for no extra pay. They volunteer for that stress because the hit is addictive. They get desensitized to a normal workload, and the only way to feel productive is to just take on more.
And technology has just turbocharged this whole thing. It was supposed to free us, but now it's like a force multiplier for stress. We're always on, always reachable. The line between work and home is gone.
It creates this state of constant vigilance. You become physically unable to switch off. That constant checking of emails or social media is actually a form of seeking that dopamine feedback. It's a loop.
So for anyone listening right now, what are the subtle signs?
Well, the signs are often framed as positive traits. Like if you genuinely feel you thrive under pressure, that you just can't work without a tight deadline, that's a huge red flag. If you're constantly checking your phone, that's a stress-seeking behavior. But maybe the most telling sign is when you struggle to relax or you feel genuine anxiety about what to do with spare time. If you really enjoy spending all your waking hours on business, that's a sign the reward system has sort of relocated your sense of happiness.
But isn't there something called good stress or eustress? You know, the idea that a little pressure helps you perform.
That's the myth we really need to pick apart. While, yes, acute stress can give you a boost, chronic stress is just counterproductive. It leads straight to burnout and adrenal fatigue. The relentless chase for maximum output is it's unsustainable.
It makes me think of that fitness analogy the blueprint uses. Overtraining. If you train without any rest weeks, you don't get stronger. You just tear your body down until you collapse. Rest is actually what creates the gains.
And there's this great Chinese saying the source brings up, walk or run, don't wobble. When you wobble, you're pushing yourself to the brink constantly. You're never going fast, but you're never fully recovering either. You're just in that state of perpetual near collapse. It's way more effective to sprint until you're exhausted, rest completely, and then go again. You close the loop.
And beyond just physical exhaustion, this state of chronic arousal actually makes us worse at the very tasks we're stressing about. Let's talk about creativity. Tell us about the candle problem.
Yeah, it's a classic psychological task. Subjects get a candle, a box of tacks, and some matches, and they have to attach the candle to the wall so it burns properly. Now, when they're highly motivated or stressed to find the solution fast, they suffer from something called functional fixedness. Their brains get stuck on the most obvious use of the object, so they try to tack the candle directly to the wall.
Well, what's the creative solution? The one that requires a more relaxed state.
The solution is to use the box itself as a little shelf. You empty the box, tack it to the wall, and then place the candle on it. The pressure, the stress, it stops the brain from seeing the box as anything other than a container. You need to relax, step back, and let your mind wander to see those other possibilities.
So if being stressed literally makes us less effective, less creative, the personal cost is clear. You're risking your immune system, your heart, your mental health, anxiety, depression. The blueprint basically asks, are you living to work or are you working to live?
And if you're addicted to stress, you are trading your family, your health, and your happiness for corporate objectives that rarely care about your long-term well-being.
Okay, that perfectly sets the stage for the fix. So the diagnosis is stress addiction. The first step is pretty radical. Don't treat the symptoms, remove the source. And that source could be obvious, like work or debt, but it could also be more abstract, right? Like lack of purpose or loneliness or just boredom.
The process starts with a really rigorous, actionable analysis. You need to keep a list, a constantly updated list of all your stressors. I mean, everything. From the huge deadlines down to the tiny annoyances, the queue at the coffee shop, that awkward colleague, your messy desk, the weird pain in your hip, everything.
And the power of that list is that it lets you break down huge stressors like, my job is terrible, into their smallest fixable parts. You might not be able to quit the job today, but you can fix the uncomfortable chair. You can declutter your desk. You can find a better commute. You fix the small things first.
And once that list is graded by how severe and how fixable things are, the blueprint advocates for what it calls the radical shift. Quitting cold turkey. Your health and happiness have to be the priority.
Now, hold on. That sounds great in a book, but for the listener who's got a mortgage, 3 kids, doesn't the source acknowledge the immense financial stress that quitting a high-paying, miserable job creates? I mean, going from high-powered executive to, say, a quiet librarian, that's a terrifying risk.
It absolutely acknowledges the risk, but it frames it as a choice about redefining what success even means. The goal isn't to just quit recklessly tomorrow, The goal is to set the intention to quit the toxic situation, even if it takes 18 months of planning and saving. If a job is destroying your relationships or your mental health, the risk of staying is actually greater than the financial risk of leaving, provided you plan it out responsibly.
So the goal is to shift your entire definition of a successful life, move it away from salary and title, and more toward peace of mind.
Precisely. And if that radical shift isn't possible yet, you just focus on removing the smaller stressors incrementally. Maybe you look into working from home or renegotiating your hours.
Let's move on to the people who often have the most control, but are the most addicted to the stress cycle. The self-employed, the business owners. The advice here is to adopt a lifestyle design mindset.
Yeah, you start by looking at your desired life first, and then you optimize your work to fit that life, not the other way around. And the core strategy here is simplification, which starts with Pareto's Law, the 80-20 principle.
For anyone who's not familiar, can you remind us what that means in a business context?
Sure. It basically means that typically 80% of your business profit comes from just 20% of your clients. And this is often because 80% of your workload is spent on the clients who cause the most headaches and stress, but bring in the lowest return. The strategy is to radically simplify your business by firing that low return 80%.
Which sounds brutal, but if those clients are just draining your time and your profit, cutting them suddenly gives you a massively reduced workload, fewer things to juggle, and the mental space to really focus on that high-value 20%.
And you have to leverage efficiency tools. First, outsourcing. The source is big on virtual assistant services, or VAS, for non-physical online tasks. So, arranging meetings, handling emails, light research. What's really valuable here is the cost efficiency. You can find skilled workers abroad for surprisingly low rates, which lets you delegate all those time-sucking tasks for a minimal investment.
And the second tool is automation. This is about using systems or software like IFTTT, which stands for if this, then that. It's a simple way to link two apps or processes together.
For instance, setting up a system where every time you post a product update to Twitter, that same update automatically gets posted to LinkedIn and Facebook. You're just reducing your daily load by not having to manually juggle 7 different platforms.
And then, of course, the big one for financial stress relief. Passive income. Making money while you sleep.
This simple affiliate marketing model is a perfect example. You find a product you like, you create a simple landing page promoting it with your unique affiliate link, and you set up some targeted, low-cost online ads. The business basically runs itself, the ads drive traffic, and you profit from the commission without having to actually make or ship anything. It's a direct attack on that most common modern stressor, financial insecurity.
So once we've dealt with the external stressors, the job, the clients, the admin load, we can transition to the internal battle. How do we improve our health so our body is just better equipped to handle the stress that remains?
We have to start with the chemical elephant in the room, caffeine. The source calls it stress in a mug, which is just perfect.
And the mechanism is what's really key here. Caffeine doesn't give you energy, does it? It's a trick.
Yeah.
It works by blocking the adenosine receptors in your brain, the ones that tell you you're sleepy.
And when those are blocked, your brain just assumes something incredibly important is happening, like a life or death situation, and it floods your system with those same stress hormones. Cortisol, norepinephrine, dopamine. That's why you get the jitters, the anxiety, the racing heart. If you're already stressed about work, a strong cup of coffee is literally just throwing fuel on the fire.
Cutting back on caffeine is one of the biggest, fastest wins for reducing chronic stress. Okay, next up. Optimizing sleep. We all know the basics. Dark, cool, quiet room.
Right, but the truly critical advice is dedicating half an hour before bed to actively decompress. If you go straight from an action movie or a tense conversation to trying to sleep, your stress hormones are still flying high. You have to use that 30 minutes for screen-free reading or calm music to let those hormones subside.
And the source suggests something crucial: ditching the traditional alarm clock.
Yes. A blaring sudden alarm yanks you out of deep sleep, and it triggers that primal fight-or-flight response. You literally wake up thinking you're being attacked. It's a horrible way to start the day. You want to replace it with a daylight alarm, like the Lumi devices. They gradually brighten like a sunrise, and they gently nudge you awake without that spike of stress.
And finally, diet and exercise. We know exercise releases serotonin and endorphins, our natural mood lifters.
And with diet, you have to get specific. It's not just about being healthy. You have to avoid processed sugars that cause inflammation and energy slumps, and instead look for ingredients that actively support your brain, like tryptophan from poultry, which is a precursor to serotonin, and make sure you're getting enough zinc and omega-3 fatty acids.
Okay, now let's focus on managing the workload that's left over. The first step is to stop procrastinating, what the source calls closing open loops.
An open loop is one of those small, nagging, stressful tasks. That difficult phone call, filing your taxes, that just hovers in the back of your mind. It creates this continuous, low-level stress hum. The most efficient thing you can do is just close it. Do the stressful thing immediately and get rid of the mental burden.
And to structure the work that's left, we look at workflow techniques. The Pomodoro technique is incredibly effective for beating that wobble.
It structures your day into these 25-minute focused bursts, separated by 5-minute breaks. After 4 of those, you take a longer 15 to 30-minute break. It forces you to either properly work or properly rest. No more half-working.
And if that strict time-based system doesn't work for you, say if you need long stretches of deep focus, you can adapt it with reward systems.
Right. You just break your work into defined chunks, like finishing a report or writing 1,000 words. Once it's done, you grant yourself a reward check, social media, have a snack. You make non-work activities conditional on getting the work done.
And what about when acute stress hits? That moment when your heart starts pounding and the fight-or-flight response just takes over. That's where we can use tools from cognitive behavioral therapy or CBT.
The first one is mindfulness. This is about meditation focused on the present moment. So deep breathing, doing a body scan where you just feel your weight on the chair. The key is to practice watching your anxious thoughts pass by like clouds without getting hooked by them. And that controlled breathing immediately engages your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the biological off switch for fight or flight.
And the second tool, cognitive restructuring, is about the thought patterns themselves. This involves thought challenging. So if you have that catastrophic thought, I'm going to get fired, you challenge it, you ask what's the actual likelihood of that, you break down the irrational fear.
Exactly. And you can use hypothesis testing. If you're stressed about stuttering in a presentation, you actually try it in a low-stakes setting. You prove to yourself that the catastrophic outcome you feared, it was just an exaggeration. Once you look at the fear objectively, it loses its power.
So we've built the complete blueprint. It starts with diagnosing the stress addiction, listing and removing stressors through quitting or automation, optimizing your internal biology with better sleep and diet, and then managing what's left with techniques like Pomodoro and CBT.
And the final check, as the blueprint really emphasizes, is sustainability. Make sure any changes you make, a new workout routine, firing clients, are realistic, that they won't accidentally create new stress. And if you do free up 6 hours a week, you need to relearn how to enjoy that free time. That might mean throwing yourself into a new hobby or just learning how to completely guiltlessly rest.
So what does this all mean for you? The core insight here is that modern society is currently designed to reward stress, because your relentless, perpetually on state benefits the collective, your company, the economy. The source makes it clear that your happiness and your peace of mind should be the key objectives for all your hard work. We leave you with this final, provocative thought. If modern society rewards stress because it benefits the collective, what daily habit could you break right now? What task could you permanently delegate or discard? To prove that your individual happiness is more valuable than any corporate objective, find your answer and start breaking free.
Hayward Podworks. 100 shows, one vision.
All right, this is Hayward Podworks, and that's today's episode. If this helped you, do me a favor, hit follow, leave a quick rating, and share it with one person who'd get value. Want the extras, links, and new drops? Check the show notes. Until next time, stay sharp, stay consistent, and keep building. Hayward Podworks. We'll talk soon.